Introducing our next opponent with a mass of 5.683 times 10 to the 26 kilograms. It is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest planet in the solar system. Give it up for Saturn. Alright, you guys, I'm going to try not to bore y'all too much because I know if I just sit here and state a bunch of facts, you guys are going to fall asleep before you even hit the 5-minute mark in the video. But fact number one, Saturn is the least dense planet in the solar system. It has a density of about 0.687 grams / cubic centimeters. It's actually less dense than water and could actually float like an apple if you could find a pool large enough. Oh, why did you want to ruin a pool with all that hydrogen, helium, and ices? Alright, fact number two, Saturn can actually be compared to a flattened ball, if you want to compare it, because it spins so quickly on its axis that it causes it to flatten out. And if you were to look at a picture, you could actually see why I say it looks squished a little. And the spinning squishes it, causing the equator to bulge out. And Cassini has a drawing of Saturn where you can see the distance from the center to the poles, which is about 54,000 kilometers. And the distance from the center to the equator is 60,300 kilometers. So basically, locations on the equator are approximately 6,300 kilometers more distant from the center than the poles. It's similar to Earth, but it's much more extreme on Saturn. Alright, fact number three you might find a little weird, but it actually makes sense. The first astronomers thought that the rings on Saturn were moons. I don't know what that's about, but... Okay, so my main man Galileo, he was the first one, of course, to put his telescope on Saturn in 1610. And you can't blame the man, because he saw the rings, but he didn't know what he was looking at. Like, come on, he just discovered this planet. He's not going to automatically know what it is. They probably didn't know what rings were. So, he thought that the rings might actually be two large moons stuck to either side of Saturn. Ears, maybe? It wasn't until 1655 that Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens, I think I said that right, used a better telescope to observe Saturn. And that's where he figured out that it was a thin, flat ring, nowhere touching, and inclined to the ecliptic, Alright, so fact number four, Saturn has only been visited 4 times by spacecraft. Ironic. But 3 of them were just flybys, like they didn't even pull the cameras out. Probably because back then they didn't even have cameras. But Pioneer 11 in 1979, Voyager 1 in 1980, then Voyager 2 in 1981. It wasn't until Cassini's arrival in 2004 that a spacecraft actually went into orbit around the sun and captured photographs of the planet and its rings and moons. So good job to Cassini for actually taking pictures. Pioneer 11, Voyager 1, and Voyager 2, nice job flying by, but you don't get credit unless you pull the cameras out, sorry. And unfortunately, there are no future plans to send any more spacecrafts, so Cassini gets full credit. Moving on. Oh my gosh. So Saturn, fact number 5, Saturn has 62 moons. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 62. 62 en español. Jupiter has 67 discovered moons. That's pretty impressive. So Saturn is a close second with 62. Very impressive and very close. Some of these planets are large, like of course Titan, the second largest moon in the solar system. We know this. But most are tiny, just a few kilometers across, and they don't have any official names. Titan is a pretty official name. We all agree. In fact, the last few were discovered by NASA's Cassini orbiter just a few years ago. My man Cassini, again, not the actual person, but the orbiter. More will probably be discovered in the next coming years. So moving on to fact number 6, nobody knew the length of a day on Saturn. Like, you know, ours is 24 hours. Theirs was a mystery until recently, because the rotation speed of Saturn was difficult to find due to the fact that this planet does not have a solid surface. Mercury, for example, you could just watch to see how long it takes for a specific crater to rotate back into view. But astronomers couldn't do that with Saturn, so they had to come up with a magnetic field, a much more clever solution. To determine the rotational speed of Saturn, astronomers measured the rotation of the planet's magnetic field. So by one measurement, Saturn takes 10 hours and 14 minutes to orbit. But when Cassini approached Saturn, it clocked the rotation at 10 hours and 45 minutes. So astronomers now agree on an average day of 10 hours, 32 minutes, and 35 seconds. So basically, that's not even a half of a day here on Earth. But it's nice that they came to a conclusion, even though both of theirs was off, but it was close. So shout out to them. Give a round of applause for them. Fact number 7, lucky number 7. Saturn's rings could be old or they could be young. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But it's possible that Saturn's rings have been around since the beginning of the solar system, which is 4.54 billion years ago, approximately. Or maybe they're just relatively brand new compared to the age of Saturn. Nobody knows, astronomers don't know, so we definitely don't know or fully understand the origin of Saturn's rings. They might have formed recently when a 300-kilometer ice moon was torn apart by Saturn's gravity, forming a ring around the planet. It's also possible that they're leftover material when Saturn formed in a solar nebula. The material in the rings might have gotten jostled by Saturn's gravity and never could pull together into a cohesive moon. But astronomers have also found that the ring material looks just too clean to have formed so long ago and can be as young as 100 million years old. Wow, that's very young. It's all just a big mystery. We're going to continue to talk about the rings in fact number 8. They disappear. Yep, sort of like I do when Chickarelli asks for homework assignments. But they don't actually disappear. They look like they're going away. Saturn's axis is tilted, just like the Earth. Oh, wow, look at that. But from our point of view, we see Saturn's change of position as it takes its 30-year journey around the sun. Sometimes the rings are fully open and we see them in all their glory, but other times we see the rings edges on. It looks like they disappeared. Magicians. Saturn is a magician planet. This happened in 2008 and 2009, so that means it'll happen again in 2024 and 2025. Fact number 9, Nueve en Español. You can see Saturn with your own eyes. Yes, that is right. Don't get carried away. Of course, you're not going to see the entire planet. But if you go outside and look at the sky during the night, you want to look for the brightest star in the sky. If you want to see the rings and the ball of the planet itself, of course you're going to have to look through a telescope. You don't have that good of eye vision. I don't care what 20/20 vision you have. I don't care what your doctor told you have. You will need a telescope if you want to see the rings and the ball of the planet itself. But just tell your family and friends by pointing out that bright star in the sky that they are looking at Saturn, the sixth planet from the sun. Alright, you guys, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Fact number 10, Diaz in Espanol. There could be life near Saturn. Not on Saturn, but near Saturn. That planet is far too hostile to support life. You will die instantly if you try to visit that planet, so don't do it. But there could be life on one of Saturn's moons. Not Titan, my favorite, but Enceladus. I think I said that right. I hope I said that right. But if you were to visit the moon Enceladus, you might find actual life. So if any of you guys are bold and want to be astronomers, go ahead and take a trip. Take your family members to Enceladus, and you might find life. So don't be afraid, because I just warned you. Alright, you guys, so this is the end of the video. I want to give a special thanks to Micaiah Carter and Autumn Young. Autumn for her wonderful worksheet that she has handed you guys, and Micaiah for her not so good, but okay, we'll take it, model of Saturn. And a special thanks to Chickarelli, one of the best teachers of all time, for extending the project this long. I don't know why we're still doing this, but I appreciate you, Chick.